Good morning, everyone, and welcome in this neuro science-based workshop for team leaders. This skill sprint is initiative from the House of Coaching, and the House of Coaching is a bunch of neuroscientific maniacs who give training, facilitate workshops, do coaching, all based on neuroscience. So we are sure that neuroscience in learning and development makes the difference. In this series of neuroscience-based techniques, we give different workshops for different target groups. And today we have a totally target on team leaders. Team leaders are people who are responsible for, in an operational environment, to support people to obtain goals, to obtain objectives. And I've been active, I've been working in a lot of operational environments where team leaders are responsible or as a supervisor to manage goals, to manage people, to manage conflicts, to manage the objectives of their team and to serve a higher purpose. In this workshop, I want to give some neuroscience-based techniques to support you as a team leader to manage your own or to support your own job, your responsibility. So what we tell is neuroscience based. If I go in the practice and I'm on the field, I always ask, what is your biggest challenge as a team leader? And let us write those things down. So the most important challenges. A first challenging is conflict management. How do I manage conflicts? We work together, we see more our people on the floor than we maybe see our own family. So it's very important to have a good rapport, to have a good understanding and a good cooperation, a good team together. So it's very important to manage conflicts. A second one, to gain the goals. So in those days, I can imagine that a lot of, and I see it as well on the field, that there's a lot of pressure on the goals, and those goals can be quantified goals. Um, they can be sales goals. Imagine that you're in a call center as a team leader, and and your people have to sell. They have to reach certain objectives. So there's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure on must realize the objective. And then as a team leader, it's sometimes or mostly hard to motivate people. So how can I motivate those people to gain the goals? And a third is stress management. So I have lots of stress as a team leader. Um, we need to reach those objectives. On meantime, I have to coach my people on personal level, on professional level. I see there are conflicts everywhere in the space, in the working space. So this gives me lots of stress. So It's the balance between must do something and want to do something. The balance between the task and be motivating to do those tasks. So I will draw a little balance. The balance between must do, the must, and the motivation. Okay, I'll put this a bit higher that you see the visual. Thank you. Okay. So in this workshop, who will take about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, we will touch some of those concerns for you as a team leader. A very important on neuroscience, and let this be the introduction of today, is the model of the world, the model of communication. So how, let's write it down to be clear, a model of communication. If we talk about conflicts, if we talk about stress, if we talk about motivation, we have to be aware that we all look in another way to the reality. So the first part of this model of communication is the R of reality. And we see all the reality through our own way, through our own mini camera. Let's say it's through our own personal filters. So there are filters, how we look through that reality. And we have to be aware as a person, as a team leader, that we have different filters than other people. Your manager looks through another way to the reality than you do. Your team members look through the reality in another way than you do. So, for example, when you have to obtain 10% extra sales this month, then you look through that reality in another way than the manager and then your team members. So be aware that we, all of us, look through other filters to the world. And it's not only observing, it's as well give a certain meaning. For example, that 10% extra, it can really motivate me. So yes, I want to reach this. I want to reach that 10%. I have a positive mindset, and I know I have all the resources that I can reach at 10%. On the other way, one person would say, another 10%. Last month, we had to reach 5%, and now 10%. And I know how hard it was to reach that 5%. So I really feel like a slave. So next, we give a certain meaning to things. We give an own interpretation thanks to the different filters we look through. But where do those filters come from? Those filters come from the reality that we observe, the way we look at the world. So it means that a meaning, all those meanings we give, we create our own model of the world that's related to that filter. So it means that someone who is probably in a negative mindset on those goals, every new goal that will be announced, that person will look through that in a negative way, in maybe a fixed mindset. People are more in a growth mindset who say, yeah, challenge. I like challenges. Give me those challenges. So those challenges can be the motivation of the other one. And from the other, that 10% extra sales that we have to reach could be, I have to do this. It's a must. So every new target for one person could be a must, and for the other could be a motivation. So we all look at the world, at the reality in a different way. And this is very interesting. That model of the world feeds our feedback. It's the way we show our behavior. So reality filters, we call it as well the perception. How we look at things, the meaning, or interpretation, and all those puzzle pieces of interpretation creates our own safe model of the world. So it's a kind of safety, a safe environment. It's my model of the world, so I don't have to discuss about this. As a team leader, the more you are aware of the model of the world of other people, the better you can manage those people, your team members, the better you can manage your team. And this is the beginning. So in neuroscience-based techniques, this is the basic tool, the model of communication, the way we look. And with neuroscience-based techniques, we will help you to have a broader filter to look at the reality, to understand better the other. And there are hundreds of techniques, hundreds of ways to look at or to support you in looking at the reality. Model of communication. If we look to communication, we have to be aware that we use different resources, different ways to communicate. And the first is our body language. And let us say the body posture. So the way I stand. You can compare it, you make the picture something. So the body posture. So when we want to create, and we'll see this later in the report exercise, is be aware what the body posture is from the other without any judgment. I give an example. My both hands are open, and in one hand I'm holding my marker. I'm looking at the camera. My feet are in a triangle. So this is a kind of a body posture. So very important to get rapport with other people is to look at them. What is their body posture? And don't judge on this. Don't judge. So what you see is what you see without giving any meaning, without giving any interpretation through your own model of the world. So observe the body posture. We are taught that or taught, yeah, that eye contact is a very important way to get rapport with the other person. So it's very important to look in the eyes, um, but be a bit aware that too much looking in the eyes, two things can happen: aggressivity, fight, or fall in love. But be aware of the eye movements of persons. When we go deeper in neuroscience-based techniques and really invite you to go in deeper courses about eye contact and about neuroscience-based training, we will talk about what does that probably mean. An eye movement, the way eye moves, tells something about that person, how that person thinks, which representation systems that person used. Is it visual? Is it auditory? Is it kinesthetically? I go a bit further and deeper, but it's really interesting to understand how micro movements in the eye tell something about the thoughts from the other person. So, but now in this, to be aware of reports, it's important to look in the eyes. Look in people's eyes, get connected, get report, and look how eyes of people move. Third is body language. In body posture, we talk about um, the photo. In this case, we talk about the movie, how people move, how they move in through the environment, use their body language in their whole. Okay, so look at people as a team leader, observe people, look at them. How is their body posture? When you're closer to them, observe their eyes. What are the eye movements? What is their body language? And the more you look at them, the more you are aware how people can maybe feel and think. So observation. So looking at people is always the first step to understand people. Body posture, eye movement, and body language. The tone of voice. How do people talk, express themselves with their voice? Do I hear a loud voice? A soft voice? Is somebody speaking really, really fast? Or is someone speaking really slow? Do people emphasize on certain words? So be aware as a team leader that people use their voice. So observe, listen to the voice of people. And the fifth is language, the power of the verb, the verbal, what we use as a language. We listen to what people say. So it's important as a team leader in neuroscience based on neuroscience is to observe people, listen to people, and as well to their language, to the words they use. And or is this congruent or this all on one line? So how do people express? And an interesting exercise is to create report. How can I recreate report based on body posture, eye movement, body language, tone of voice, and language? And report We have you as a team leader. You have your team member. How can we create rapport with each other? Or how can I create rapport with the other person? By observing body language, listening to the language, listening to the tone of voice. Look how eyes are moving. Um, Look how gestures are being made. So, as a team leader, look at it. First is observation. Creating a certain awareness how that person looks at things, how that person behaves. A little story about this. I was last year in a training in Santa Cruz with one of the leaders in neuroscience-based techniques and neuroscience-based NLP, Robert Dills. And one of the participants was sitting in the back of the room, so where we had the workshops. And he was observing Robert Dills, and he was mirroring Robert Dills. So how Robert Dills behaved, the arms went open. That person on the same moment, the arms went open. He was a kind of modeling Robert Dills because he wants to know how does Robert Dills feels. What is his model of the world that he wants to show to people? And it's a kind of, you can say, copying, modeling. And I asked his name was Heinz, it's a German guy, Heinz, and said, "What are you doing here?" "I just want to be in rapport with Robert Dills." It was really in a very emphasized, it was a bit exaggerated, but I really liked this story. And it opened my eyes of to get rapport with persons, do a little copy paste exercise, a mirror exercise. And this is a first challenge I want to give to you to create a certain empathy towards the other is to copy that person a bit, to mirror. It's not totally copying, but it's mirroring that person. So you can, and it's really interesting, you can do it every moment of the day. You watch a YouTube video about a TED Talk and not only listen to the words, but mirror that person who does the TED Talk. So be aware of how the head is moving, how the hands are moving, the body language in its whole. Try to copy it, and magic will happen. You will get report. So interesting tip could be when you're communicating with one of your team members is very in a very unseen way, in a bit a secret way, is to take over some small body language, take over the tone of voice. So that means we create rapport. So it's a way of getting better connection with that other person. Look at the posture, look at the eye movement, look at the body language, look at the tone of, listen to the tone of voice, and which language do that person use. On language, I can give you a little advice, a little a tip that can help, and we call that the backtracking. It means that you repeat certain words of that person. So well, it's a bit difficult to give an example as I'm alone, but I will try it. So imagine there's someone else in front of you, and that person tells, I'm now the person in front of me, yes, yesterday I've been to an interesting drink of the House of Coaching, and there were maybe 10, 12 people and really enjoyed it. Backtracking could mean, oh, the House of Coaching, meeting 10, 12 people. So I repeat small little words of that person. And that really activates the active listening. You don't only take over the words, but also as well the small gestures. So the backtracking, repeating. And as a team leader, this is a really important technique. So creating report by looking and using the backtracking. So exercise this, go and watch television and look at your favorite program, backtrack that person and mirror that person. Practice it, practice it, practice it. So creating a report to better understand the person. So this is one of the basics in neuro science-based techniques, and important in conflict management, into see the stress management, and as well how people feel, how they are yes or no motivated. This is the basics. We already have an hour on the way. Let's talk about conflict. And before I go first to conflict, it reminds me of something I really want to share with you. I've been reading about empathy, creating empathy, understand the other in a better way. Um, we have different levels of empathy. Empathy, you can you can't have enough empathy. You can't have enough empathy in the world. Empathy is very important to create that report, but there are three different ways of empathy. First is the cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy, I know what you say. I understand what you say. I can imagine what you say. So I understand, I imagine, I see what you mean. Those words gives you cognitive empathy. Use empathy in a sincere way. So be sincere on empathy, cognitive. So in language, we use, and you remember the previous model about of language. I see what you mean. It's visual. I think I know what you mean. Cognitive. I know what you mean. Second is more feeling empathy. In feeling empathy, it's a kind of, I've been through that experience as well. I felt this as well before. I felt a same experience before. So by using your own experience, but sincere experience, real experience, and you pronounce it in a feeling way, I feel it. I felt that before. Yeah, what you say, I've been through this as well. So it's like I really felt it. And you see it as well in my body language. You see that my body language, when we refer to the uh, exercise before, the previous exercise, you see me more, so I'm aware of my own movements. Yeah, I feel that empathy. Affective empathy is not only I know what you feel, I feel what you feel, but as well, I want to help you to have, if it's in a negative way, a better feeling. I'm there, I'm affective, I'm affected by you. And it's a kind of, I want to act, really want to help you. And it's a bit my own interpretation of this model as a team leader to avoid that stress and don't get too deep involved in affection towards your team leaders is for me here's a very important red line. How far will I go in my empathy? Um, but and I have to add it if you really felt it as well before. Cognitive, okay, endless. But affective empathy, in my family, I don't have those boundaries. I really want to help my fiance with a baby. I have affection. Yeah, I really want to help her, but respect your own boundaries in empathy. So this is something I really want to add as well, the different levels of empathy in as a team leader. Okay, we've been through some things today. We talked about the uh, creating report. First of all, as well, the model of communication. Yeah. Then the different ways how different representation systems, yeah, how we present ourselves or represent ourselves, and how other people represent themselves. Have a really good look at that. To end this workshop, I want to go deeper in a bit deeper in motivation. Um, and the question I ask is, what so what makes you to leave your bed in the morning, to wake up? Yeah, it's a new day. Um, what makes you happy to wake up in the morning? That's called for me motivation. What motivates me to wake up and yes, it's a new day. Although it's raining today, it makes me happy. Okay, this is the motivation. And as I already talked about, you have the must, because I really have to go to work. You often hear that. Why are you working? Because I have to work. I have to earn money. I have to take care of my family. This is a low motivational level. On the other hand, you have as well the really motivation, the willing to do this. So put this a bit higher. So the more you go into those intrinsic motivation, and you know the intrinsic motivation of yourself and your team members, and you can work on that, the more you can get to motivate them. And in the self-determination theory, there are three main motivators. Three main. And I call this as well the A, B, C of motivation. The camera a bit higher. Okay. So, first of all, be in every model of the world, we deserve our own autonomy. So, as a team leader, how can I create more autonomy for myself, but in particular for my team members? I know we have some strict procedures that you have to follow, but within those strict procedures, is there a certain autonomy that you give to those people, to your team members? So what extras could you offer them that they have a certain feeling of autonomy? They can obtain their own goals, or they can choose a bit their own working hours, or autonomy. They can have a word, they can have some decisions, they can brainstorm with you about new procedures, about new ways of working. So use the power of autonomy, asking opinions, giving or letting listening to opinions. So autonomy. In self-determination theory, we talk about as well about belonging. People want to belong to something. What can I do that people have this feeling that they belong to something? So what yeah, you can say I have some team building experiences, but it's not about that one day or weekend a year on that team building. Give every day the opportunity take the opportunity to look for some things that people really have the feeling that they belong to a team. And of course, um, it needs some brainstorm. There are some particular circumstances that you're working in, but I really challenge you. Imagine that you have all the resources that you can help belong to the team. What would be those resources? So belonging. And a little story about the belonging is yesterday I was working for a big retailer, and everyone in the team wears the same t-shirt. You could say, yeah, they're obliged, and on the other hand, giving the example, um, retail retailer, the students, the flexi jobs or the trainees have to wear another not a t-shirt than the fixed members, team members. So I really like the example of last about yesterday. They say whenever it's a student, whenever it's a partial job or a fixed person who works in has a contract, um, the fixed workers, they all wear the same because we all belong. So we don't want the client, the customer to see that there's a difference in our team. And I really like that as an example. So it's a really a small example from the field. Competence and grow. People want to develop themselves. People are self-learning creatures. They want to develop. They want to grow. So in your team, for yourself, where do you have in your zone of impact, in your zone of influence, can help people to have to grow, to have a competence, to have a certain way of I'm not standing still here. I have the opportunity in my team that I can grow. Some extra responsibilities, extra tasks. For example, yesterday in that retailer, we were sitting in a meeting. I was supervising that meeting. It was the end of a project. How did we implement motivation in that retail company? And they give the opportunity to everyone around the table to share their new insights about last week. So what did they learn and what did they learn from their own experiences? A kind of informal learning, we call that, which is very important and more important than formal learning. Informal learning. For example, I have a new way of pricing certain things. So I have a new idea, and people were sharing their ideas. How can we optimize the pricing? So the little labels, how and how can I do that in a more effective way? And one of those young team members said, I do it in another way. And people said, yeah, that's more effective. If we put it on the upper right corner, it's easier. Uh, and let's do it that way. So it's a small example of how people can show their own competence. They grow mindset in meetings and sharing their experiences, their informal learnings. And the way you get motivated the most is that you share experience and that you see that people are learning from that. Okay, so how can I people is um, create, of course, that reports and about motivation. Look how you can use the ABC model of self-determination theory. How can I create more autonomy? How can I make that people belong more to the team? And how can I create more competences and grow? A story to end this workshop. 5 years ago, it was just before the lockdown, before COVID, I was waiting for my train in the Gare TGV, so the high-speed train station in Avignon. And in Avignon, I was waiting, and yeah, the train was on in delay, 2 hours. And I went, as every human being, to the toilet, and there was a Senegalese woman working there. And what I I was talking to that cleaning wife in the toilet, and yeah, I was Otherwise, yeah, I'm socializing a bit, getting in touch with different people. And I was talking to that Senegalese lady, and I really asked her, "How are you?" She said, "Whoa, you're one of the first people who are talking to me. A lot of people are ignoring me." But I say, "Yeah, you were so always with a smile, even to the children smiling, to the businessman you were smiling. You're smiling to me as well. So I really like your smile." So um, she shows her sympathy, and showing sympathy makes connection. But this is not only the story that I want to tell. And I was talking, and she said, "Yeah, I'm working already 5 years in this station." Instead of 5 years as a cleaning lady of toilets in the stations, you must be crazy doing this. She said, "No, I'm not crazy. I just like doing this. Every person that goes to the toilet here, I immediately clean the toilet." I said, that's interesting. And then she said, "This for me important because this is the start of your journey. When this toilet stinks, you will tell it to everybody. And this stinky toilet will have influence from Avignon in your way up to northern France and Belgium." I said, wow. It means that she was really talking about autonomy, belonging. And in autonomy, she told me another story. Do you know? And she knew my name already. Do you know I can choose my own cleaning products here? Those that I bring from home? And I negotiated with the management or with my team leader. Why don't we buy this for the whole region? And they agreed. So all the toilet soaps and cleaning stuff did by a Senegalese woman who was cleaning. And that made me really happy. It made me smile, that story. In one of the most dirty jobs in the world, that lady showed her autonomy. She had the feeling that she belonged to something, to a bigger group, and that she had influence. And that there was a development, that the environment, thanks to her energy, thanks to her passion. And I'm sure, I don't know if that lady still works there, but every day when I give a training about motivation, I give this simple example, this simple, beautiful example. It was a location in Avignon. There was a relation, a talking to that woman, and it gave me an emotion. So I'm really happy that I could share my um, insights for you as a team leader. And I really hope that this video, this short video, 1 hour video, almost 1 hour video, can help you and give you new insights to get motivated, to create reports, and be aware of your team and team members. I'm Karel Mortier from the House of Coaching, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.